Hey, Tariq, we got our Final Four in college football. What do you think of them?
Love it, and get a little bit of everything. Get the two powerhouses. Obviously, everybody's looking forward to Alabama, Georgia. But then you get this other team of Cincinnati. And every year we seem to want to be, oh, I just want the best four teams, the best four teams. Well, Cincinnati played their schedule. They're one of the best four teams. And every year, people who love hockey bring up the miracle on ice. Oh, I can't believe it. What a great moment in sports. Then we put in a team that's kind of an underdog, never seen before, a Boise State or somebody else in a tournament, and we get upset that they're not a powerhouse. Well, what if Cincinnati goes out, plays well, and makes it to the championship? This is what we talk about in sports and why we watch it. So I'm rooting for Cincinnati. I don't think they're going to make it to the championship game, but they're in the tournament.
Well, it's going to be a degenerate gambler, so I always know the point spread. So Alabama's favored by 13.5 over Cincinnati going in. And the other thing is, I thought going into the weekend that we just finished, it was like the best bet ever is to see Alabama go playing against Georgia, because Alabama had to win it and Georgia didn't. And if there's ever a motivating factor, I thought that this is one of the best bets of the year.
I'm with you 100%. By the way, I'm surprised it's only 13.5 after what Alabama just did to Georgia. Granted, maybe you're not showing them everything. I don't know. Look, I agree with you. There should be one team that's a non-traditional powerhouse that's in there every year, because every year you can find it. But let's not sit and pretend like it's likely, even remotely possible, that Cincinnati goes and beats Alabama. Like, that 13.5 sounds like a scam to get people to try and watch that game. I'm going to watch it. It'll be fun. But until you keep giving access to these, I want to say mid-major, but that's not what I mean. You guys understand what I'm saying. And let them keep doing this over and over again, you're going to constantly run into a valid argument as to why you can't put them in. Like, Boise State happens once every 25 years, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like the group of five, I think is what they call them. It just sounds like some organized crime unit. But the thing is, when they expand the playoffs, which I think is coming soon, you're always going to have one, maybe two of those teams floating around in there.
And look at where we are now with Michigan, too. The team nobody's really talking about, a chance to possibly beat Georgia. We'll see. We'll see what goes on with that. And then make the championship game. That erased all the goals for Jim Harbaugh. Remember, the last 3 years or so, couldn't beat Ohio State, finally did that, won the Big Ten. Now you're in the tournament. Let's see if you can pay off.
And the best thing is Ohio State's not part of it.
Yeah.
You know that they're not in it.
Yep, you get to see and watch and wait and see going into next year, of course, avenging that loss to Michigan.
If you got a thing that you like in terms of like the number that they should expand this to, I assume that you want them to stretch it out a little bit.
No, I'll be honest with you. I like 4. I think the debate is more fun than the actual games, because every year we seem to be disappointed by these college football playoff games, right? Like, this idea that if you add more teams, the games are going to be better. What makes you think that? Like, I mean, conference by conference, week by week, player by player, injury by injury, these college football games wildly move. So I think that the months of argument as to who the 4 are will be way more entertaining than if you increase it to 8 or 12 playoff teams.
I mean, I like the bowl games. Some of these bowl games I'm not going to be watching anyway, but if you turn those bowl games into playoff games, maybe play them a little bit earlier, give these teams 2 to 3 weeks to rest. I know for the teams that will be top-seeded teams, you could expand the playoffs, but that's in theory, and that's a lot of work to figure all that stuff out.
And let's go even further. Let's say you expand the playoffs. Well, look what happened this year with Notre Dame, Cincinnati. Brian Kelly leaves despite the fact that his team had a legitimate shot to make the playoffs. Luke Fickell being rumored to replace him. Well, now if you expand the way that coaches have been moving, you could have multiple teams without a head coach in a spot to win a national championship, but think they're so far out having to win that many games that they won't do it. It would be chaos.
That or they won't move.
No, they're not going to leave for more money? Yeah, that's a college football coach. I've heard of that guy before.